Hello, you are listening to the Gamer Librarian podcast, the best podcast you can find on this side of the multiverse. I am your host, Adrian, and today I will be talking to you about Gamescom 2025 and more. Afterwards, be sure to subscribe to notify when future episodes are released and show support by liking and leaving a comment. Thank you for joining. Here we are. Thank you for joining me on another Monday afternoon. It is a great summer for gaming. The Summer Game Fest already passed, and Jeff Keighley just put out Gamescom 2025 went so hard this year. And I mean that in like a real, like just overall way. I think it encompassed a lot of new, great announcements just for games. I think it showcased a lot of games that we already known to have been coming out and just gave a little more public detail into all their kinds of goings on. And then we even got some side stuff like some, teasers for shows and stuff, which is awesome. So I really just want to get into Gamescom immediately and talk about what we're showing off because I think a lot of stuff was really good. And there's a topic that I want to talk about here because we didn't get into a lot of big depth into it when I talked about the Battlefield 6 beta. And the Battlefield 6 wasn't really here during the Gamescom event, which I think makes sense. You know, they just did have a beta. Why announce anything else? Unless I missed it. Maybe I did miss something about Battlefield here at Gamescom, but something else was sewn off. Something that, to be honest, I thought they were still doing the skipping a year deal with the Call of Duties. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not caught up on the years of Call of Duties and the releases. But previously, I thought Call of Duty was doing the skipping a year and putting out a game. Maybe they skipped last year, but I'm unsure. We're on Black Ops 7. Yeah, yeah, we're on Black Ops 7, which is insane. You know, because the last Black Ops game that I even enjoyed was 4, right? I don't even know where time flew by, and we got to 7. I don't even know if I even played the other one. It's just been so long. Maybe I tried them out on Game Pass at some point, but there was a lot of details on Black Ops. Now, me personally, I'm only super interested in just zombies. It does seem that zombies is going to be going back to its original type of setting from what I've seen. It's going back to the Aether storyline. I think it's what it's called. I could be wrong. They showcase like the original 4 playable characters, which is awesome. It says here that Black Ops 7 takes place in 2035, takes place as a follow up of Black Ops 2 and 6. I don't even know. I don't even know how that works. It does have the 4-player co-op, which is a really interesting mechanic for a Call of Duty game. I don't think the last time we had that was like um Black Ops. One of the Black Ops I think had co-op. I remember thinking of Modern Warfare 3 or Advanced Warfare. I think Advanced Warfare had co-op. Um, but yeah, Call of Duty has been around for a very, very long time, and obviously over the years their identity, would change. And if you're someone who's been playing games since the early 2000s, right, when Call of Duty was probably in its biggest hype, whether it was um, in my opinion, World at War was still popping back then. I'm sure servers for like Call of Duty 2 and 3 were probably at least still online. Maybe they're still up now. And the big ones, right? Modern Warfare and then Black Ops, like the Call of Duties of the early 2000s before they went to Advanced and Infinite Warfare. What a different vibe. And now, Black Ops has always been that also kind of mix between that futuristic and past kind of vibe from what I've seen, where we get a little bit of like, you know, Cold War-ish type espionage type stuff, all the way to modern and then futuristic stuff, which I'm going to talk about. The big futuristic stuff is probably a big turnoff for a lot of people in terms of just a generic, military feel, which I think is what like Battlefield really does well. It sticks to that authentic, modern, and realistic combat, military type of, you know, setting that people would expect. Call of Duty's been a whole bunch of things for a long time, and they went back to, the world wars previously in like an attempt to, just go back to roots and have a different take on things. I don't know if Call of Duty is even appealing anymore, man. I saw that data cloud nonsense with just being a data person inside this world in your suit and stuff. And he's like, you're not even killing real people. These aren't even like real battlefields. What are we talking about? So I think it's crazy, whatever this nonsense is with Call of Duty. I don't even remember what the plot lines for the later ones are because they were so convoluted. I mean, Black Ops 1 was kind of okay. It had like the mind wipe stuff, which is very like Winter Soldier esque in terms of that type of Cold War mind wipey vibe. Yeah, the trailer that they had for Call of Duty didn't do it like any favors because it just showed nonsense. And I think if they showed just like gameplay, like a mission from one part of the campaign, just a mission from zombies, like the first rounds to 5 and like 10 maybe, and then like something for multiplayer, maybe just like a generic match or something. But all that nonsense that they had going on with like the road scaling upwards and the flying weird like tech stuff, it was odd. It doesn't seem to be a good vibe. And the jumping around, they had that in the multiplayer, and they bring that back, and it's very front facing. They seem like fuck you. They're doubling down on it, which is like crazy. Um, yeah, I think it's insane. I'm very surprised that they are, bringing that kind of vibe back for Call of Duty. I don't know. I think that futuristic vibe is weird, and I think Battlefield is, really killing it in terms of offering a type of vibe and making sure it works. And I hope that that really works out on, launch and stuff for Battlefield. We'll probably get that game specifically at launch, but we'll we'll see what happens. Let's just get into the elephant in the room here. Hollow Knight Silk Song. I mean, we waited so long and we're being rewarded for our efforts. Not only did we get gameplay, not only did we get confirmation that it's going to be on Switch 2, we're getting a release date. We're getting a release date for Hollow Knight Silk Song, and it's September 4th. That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks. I mean, what kind of blessing would you want in this scenario? It looks really good, just from the art style, from the way that Silk like jumps around and engages with the enemies to the enemies. I mean, I am so hyped with this game, just like 15 million other people are. Like this game obviously might be a game of the year contender for what it might actually deliver. I think that this is the game that's going to take it from Expedition 33, which you know, I don't think is fair in my opinion. I think that it's just that Hollow Knight already has a specific first game that was really, really good, and that game has all of its own qualifiers for game of the year in a lot of ways, depending on like its content editions or whatever. But those content was free, right? You're not paying for it. It's not like a Shadow of the Erd Tree. And Expedition 33, it comes from a team of 33 versus Team Cherries 3. I think that's insane. I think that's insane. Which I don't know if they have more people on Team Cherry's vibe. I think they probably do. I can't imagine they don't have more people after all this time to try and get some things done. I mean, I'm surprised they have it out on so many platforms all at once, especially the Switch too. So they must have had, some people just ready to just help them out, which is great. That's awesome. That means more jobs, which is the opposite of what we're seeing at least recently. And I'm rooting for Expedition just specifically more. I think Expedition was that surprise hit. You know what I mean? It's that game where we were expecting to even be the quality that it was, and the fact that it delivered with such like gusto and perseverance in itself. I mean, that was a video game. That was an RPG, like a real one that we like really haven't seen in such a long time. And for it to have a a system that appealed so much to like a genuine regular audience because of its parry mechanic. The parry mechanic alone like was transcending for a turn-based combat game, and it's not revolutionary, but it kind of put that mechanic on the front page of gaming. Expedition 33 did that, even though it's a mechanic that's been around since the Mario and Luigi RPGs, the Super Mario RPG games. The yeah, it's been around forever. Just stomp on their head when you attack, or hit A when they attack you, all that stuff, which is crazy. Now its music and all that stuff. Obviously, Expedition 33 deserves all of its recognition this year, in my opinion. Hollow Knight Silk Song's a sequel, right? We're talking about a character whose gameplay was kind of already created 7+ years ago. I'm not necessarily thinking that's anything to put between the two, not like a Venn diagram or anything. These are both very different style of games. A Metroidvania and like a JRPG, right? I think they're very different games, and they're going to be game of the year. It's going to be these two games, which is going to be insane to talk about. And obviously, Team Cherry has a track record of delivering the content and the experience that like we're expecting. So it's kind of hard not to believe that it's just gonna do it. And when I'm looking at the thing here, over 200 enemies and 40 bosses just at launch. I mean, that's a really good count. I don't know how many was in the base game of Hollow Knight just initially. Definitely not 200. It feels like maybe like 15 or 20 bosses was probably about right, but maybe it's about double or three times the size as the original. It's insane. There's gameplay up there, but I'm not really gonna watch it. I want to start that game immediately. Gonna try to take the day off of work for that. I just have to. Like that's insane. Now those are definitely game of the year. Like any game that comes out this year, I don't think is gonna even like come close to that. Like I really like Death Stranding 2. Bonanza's like not that good, but I think it's gonna be those two. Now we had another showcase that was I think just ahead of Gamescom, like the morning of or something. And usually, in Nintendo fashion, they don't usually partake in these big showcases anymore. They've always done their own thing. Because I think in the advent of the internet, they don't need to. They don't need to be part of those big events. They could just put these on their own channel, rack up all of the views on their own content, and surprisingly, they still like put out other trailers for the news sites and all that stuff. But it's crazy for what might be out there. But we got Kirby Air Riders. I mean, is the Switch 2 viable now? Hollow Knight 2, Kirby Air Riders. Is the Switch 2 finally a real game? Now, of course, Kirby Air Riders is just Mario Kart, right? Obviously, said it by the man himself. But as nostalgia goes, I'm so excited for this game. Probably next year, I think we're getting that game, which is going to be insane. Very, very excited. Now, something else. I was at Gamescom. We had Resident Evil Requiem. This looks pretty fun. There was a demo. I didn't really watch a lot of the demo, just I didn't really want to, which is something I'm going to be holding back for myself on this game because I really enjoy Resident Evil games. I really enjoy them. I think that they offer a really intense kind of video game vibe that's really great. But do I think that they're really catering to a Resident Evil fan base? No. No, I actually think they're doing a disservice to the older Resident Evil fans in that 7 and 8 are just like weird side stories that feel in the Resident Evil universe just because they're loosely tied to some things and maybe some characters. But obviously the experience is very much the same in those old ways. But Umbrella isn't like front facing in any way. There's not really a lot of returning characters, and the new characters, they're just kind of there. Now, I don't really like Ethan. I think Ethan's just like a placeholder. I don't even think he needs to be like a voiced character, but that's just me. But here we are. Here we are. Now, I am excited for Resident Evil Requiem. It's the ninth mainline title in Resident Evil, which is awesome. Super cool. But if I think it's gonna be game of the year, if it comes out this year, I don't think so. Or game of the year next year? I don't know. I think that the experience that we've had for the transition of 7 to 8 was just a little bit more of the same, and then just a different like overall level design vibe. I think the level design was much better in 8. Requiem, we'll see what happens. I'm not really sure. It's hard to gauge with these horror games, but they're going to be like we got Pragmata. That's what I was really hoping to talk about. Pragmata is Capcom's upcoming like third person shooter sci-fi vibe, which is pretty intense. You have like a little companion robot girl that helps you out while you're in space doing stuff. I'm super excited for this game. Not really looking too much into it. I'm pretty hype on the combat. It looks pretty engaging, so I'm pretty excited. Now, I don't really care about much about Omnimusa, right? I'm pretty samurai out in my opinion. Uh, we got Lego games. Lego Voyagers looks awesome. Then Lego Batman. I am not specifically keen on Lego Batman. I just think that like the character roster, 7 playable characters. No, no, sorry. I'm someone who's tired of video games regressing. No, no, you can't be going back to just Lego Batman games and only have 7 playable characters. You have like 3 plus games of doing the opposite. Nuh-uh. I'm not on that Lego Batman game. Uh, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. The full lineup's up there. We're getting Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which hasn't been playable since 1997. I mean, that's insane for Mortal Kombat to return in this way. I think it's bigger than Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat 11. I think it's just as big as like Mortal Kombat 9, which is awesome. The Outer Worlds too. Now, do I think this game is gonna be that kind of experience where you feel like it's a Bethesda game? No, no, because I don't know if they're gonna have that kind of explorational vibe that the Fallout games had, and it doesn't seem like they're gonna be really doing that. No, no space stuff. They had a lot of showcases where it was just their like gameplay, like a gameplay montage, like oh look all the things in here. But this one seemed to be more focused on their companions, which the companions don't look all that interesting. So it's kind of turning me away from Outer Worlds. I'm not necessarily, you know, into it right now. Pokemon Legends ZA. Listen, listen. Pokemon is something that I think is just being used and milked, and I'm not part of that. I'm not on it. We did get trailers for the Sekiro TV show that's going to be on Netflix, which seems really, really cool. And then we got a sneak peek into the Fallout Season 2 show, which we just actually finished rewatching, me and Hannah. It's going to be really great now that we rewatched that, now that we have full context, because I kind of don't mind Maximus now. He's kind of grown on me after the second rewatch. He was kind of insufferable the first time around. I was like, I can't believe this is the Brotherhood of Steel character that we're getting to know here. Like I can't I can't believe that. It wasn't really the vibe that was for me. Now it was definitely enjoyable the second time around. And season 2 is going to be in New Vegas. That's going to be insane. Very excited for that. Now, not a whole lot of anything else is specifically interesting to me that was happening at Gamescom. We're going to try and play all the little small titles, which I could just talk about right now because I bought it. It's called Discounty. You could have gotten it on discount when it was just coming out, but I think the discount ended on Switch. And yeah, I got it on Switch too, and it's like a little Stardew Valley like game. No farming, but you like come back to a town and like you inherit it, a store, a supermarket, and you just build a little store. And this was a little cute game that I thought was really, really uh, fun. So I gave it a try, and it turned out to be a lot more than I expected. Right, there seems to be that whole time day management like Stardew Valley, which is cool. You have the like people that you can kind of like recruit and buy things from. You're not really making relationships, I think, in the same way Stardew Valley has. And you can man the store. Now, this game requires math, which is, a tool set that I don't really use a lot anymore. But this County has been extremely fun. And it's going to be a really fun game to play on the Switch until, I'm going to be honest, Silk Song comes out. So until then, I'm going to try and get as far as I can at this County because otherwise, Hollow Knight's going to be the front facing game forever. Now, we did make progress into another game that I've been talking about here for a very long time. And, we finally got into the Ichiban DLC for Day of the Diver. Now, the DLCs for Day of the Diver, I believe, are timed exclusive, some of them. I think the Ichiban one and the Godzilla one are time exclusive. I think they have one that you could pay for. And the Ichiban one is a tie-in with the Yakuza series. We finally started it. I didn't know this one gave you a little second store. You get a second location, which is awesome, and you get a really fun like beat 'em up mass up mission. And I believe there's still content to go. I still have a little bit to do with it. I literally just set up the second part, but I don't want to talk about it because we've been talking about Dave the Diver for a long time. And this is a really, really fun game to just plop in and put its time in for like an hour or so because you don't have to do a whole lot. You can literally just grind out, some of the fish, and then just have the whole fish like farm out for you, and then you just, sell fish and sushi and stuff, and it's really fun that day to day kind of stuff. It's a fun, chill, relaxing game just on its own, and that's why I like this county. It's those games, it's Stardew Valley. That's why I like those. It's those little homey games that just really feel very enjoyable. Other than that, we'll be grinding out Elder Scrolls Online, trying to take the Pine Bearers deeper into Tamriel, which was our current. All right, so this is gonna have to be the end of the episode. We're just, low on time for this one, but we are getting ready for our 100th episode, which I will try to live stream it while I'm gaming. Don't know what game we'll be doing. Probably Elder Scrolls Online. It's gonna be really fun, and I hope to see you guys there. It's gonna be really enjoyable. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to be notified when the 100th episode comes out. It's gonna be awesome. All right, peace.